Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to 7 billion humans. So, I've slept since the last recording, which is more to say I didn't sleep between any of the previous recordings. So, maybe we can now start fresh in this blue section. We'll also be doing different things, probably indicated by the different colors. And so maybe it'll start to feel like the way these programs and data sets, I guess, would be the best way to be displayed, might make a lot more sense. It does sort of make a little bit of sense in the idea that the first game there was only one character you controlled that had a character going in loops over and over again, which is very much linear programming, single threaded programming. That's how programs really work. And it probably did make in the first game for a lot of people to give feedback that it was really slow and really repetitive on the playbacks of people's codes, particularly to play back your code and then in the 100th loop have it fail for some reason that was not foreseen. And so I could see, as an attempt to improve the gameplay, they've introduced this parallel execution concept. But that still does not really feel like how real programming works. Feels like we've, in the sequel, gone a few steps further away from being some kind of introduction to programming to now being almost a step away from understanding programming, because I cannot think of a single language where thinking the way these puzzles go, thinking that way, would improve your ability to program. Anyways, it says, yes, gather around. Remember when we shredded our first data cubes together? Of course you don't. You haven't had accessible memory. Until now. Yes, each of you can now remember 4 things. Got that? 4. You might store the location of a shredder you particularly like, or a special data cube you've got your eye on. Yes, I'm sure your memories will be very special and important to you. Watch what happens when you run this example program I took the liberty of creating for you. So, it almost feels like the reveal at the first game should have been that the human you were controlling actually was just a robot. Just humanoid, android like robot. When you have something like this and all the puzzles up until this point could not remember things, and now we can remember things. Shred all the data cubes. You've got a new command to nearest. It finds the nearest thing of a particular type and it stores it to one of the 4 convenient memory slots so you can always access it or walk to it later. So mem1 equals the nearest data cube and pick up the latest data cube. Now, interestingly, this is not actually working the way it says, because this nearest data cube would go here, this nearest data cube would go here, but this guy would either go here or here, and this guy would go here again, and then this guy would go here, and this guy would go here. So in theory, when this executes, there should be like 4 people standing on this block trying to pick up the same data cube, and instead they have extra code to say, well, if somebody else has already detected that they were going to pick up that block, I'm going to go find the next nearest, which that would be a lot more code. I don't understand the goal here. Shred all the data cubes. I guess that's your goal. They probably should color code the goal a little bit more. That way you can see it stand out. Usually the goal is at the bottom. So just go to the nearest shredder and then give to the memory 1. And we probably should make that memory 2. And it probably wouldn't hurt to not execute that code all the time, and instead just do it once, since the shredder's not going to move. So yeah, we've got code with 5 lines of code there to do that, and that is executing a lot of pathfinding that in real programming you would have to use some kind of algorithm to pathfind and determine what is the direction you want to go, particularly if there was a wall or a hole in the way, which I assume that is all being adjusted for in this also, and they won't just walk directly towards a data cube if there's a wall in the way or a hole or some other danger. So that's where comparing this to something like assembly also falls apart, is that it's not really close to assembly. It's much closer, I think, to basic. It's just a basic that is doing multiple executions now on multiple characters at the same time. And so we kind of jumped a shark now, even from being basic, though, in that those commands are doing quite a lot. Now, gameplay-wise, that might very well be the best way to do this, is take out the programming parts and optimize it and automate a lot of things. Yeah, and I'm not going to continue to go down this path of trying to do optional speed challenges. Like, almost certainly I could think about something here and try to optimize it, but the way you would do that almost certainly would be to just have, let's see, just have a if command probably. So if my item equals is not equal to a data cube, just go ahead and end the execution, else give it to them. And see, that's just an early exit option, so that once they stop picking up cubes, they'll just stand where they are and save a little bit of time. And again, it feels like you probably couldn't get any faster on that code. Let's see what the cutscene says. There really hasn't been much story. There wasn't much story in the first game.
You might be wondering, how does she stay so fresh and flirty?
Or hey, that handsome guy in Latai, is he a pneumatic excavator? Because he's pumped.
Let's all take a break from flexing our brains and work on flexing our bodies.
Today we are going to learn aerobic exercise with Alice, Betty, and Carol.
And Pablo.
Those are like characters from the first game, I think. That was like a real human arm picture. I can't help but feel like these are just I can't help but feel like these were just like trailers that they felt the need to make to advertise the game, and they have like no connection. It'd be really funny if this cutscene then unlocks some major new movement abilities. But overall, this just seems very weird. And one of the robots seems to be a predator sexually. The female slapped the butt of the human in the previous cutscene. So when you scroll up here, as a bit of a spoiler, you see that the very last cutscene is Mom and Dad of Invention. So I wonder if that robot human is going to end up, like, marrying, sleeping with, or getting pregnant too by a human, and they have a human-robot hybrid. So phase 2, they now have 4 memories. Did any of this other information pop up? A printer was introduced, a shredder was introduced, yes. Phase 1 is just showing people. It also is kind of pointless to have named, had a special icon for my character, since my character doesn't seem like it's ever guaranteed to be the first character or even a character in the group. Yeah, let's all take a moment to reflect. Do you feel that tingling? Yes, that's the feeling of memories farming in your little heads. So just make sure we really blaze a path through our little neurons. Come and get these data cubes over here. That's exactly one for each of you. How nice. And shred them. What? How can you find your way through this complicated maze? Don't worry. The workers will figure it out on their own. Just watch and see. So, spending all that extra time to bother with figuring out a pathing program is now completely pointless. See, pick up mem1, give to mem2. 4 lines of code. They path find apparently everything in one command, and they line up perfectly, which would be extra programming, certainly. They are walking diagonally even. And then they line up, but they're more than willing to walk over each other at other times, as long as they don't end up at the final position in the same place. And they'll even get out of the way when somebody else needs to be there. There's just so much little assistive code that you probably should have had us write first to set the foundations there. And see, I really don't know any way I could have optimized that any better, so I'm glad I got both of them. This is yet another one of the puzzles where they're designed specifically to just make it easy on you that you get both achievements. So you hope, hopefully, are then enticed to try and get the other challenges. Yes, congratulations. You have now been assigned your own personal shredder. You'll find it directly below you. I know they all look the same, but please remember very carefully which one is yours. Your new nearest command should help you with that. Using someone else's shredder would be unpolite and also fatal. With that helpful information in mind, please enjoy shredding all the data cubes. It does not in any way change anything. It really doesn't. Like, this is effectively the exact same code, just with some repeats. The only way you mess this up is you have them continuously try and execute looking for a shredder multiple times in the loop, which would have them almost always find this one and this one. Well, always find this one and this one, because they at some point they would be, well, yeah. And I imagine in the previous puzzle there is that possibility that someone would have solved it that way, and this is just here as a stumbling block for people that would have solved it that way. But if you're working with a mind of efficiency, you would have always tried to reduce the number of times you repeat actions that don't need to be repeated, or eliminate any repeated actions that don't need to be done. And this, almost certainly, if this didn't get the speed challenge, could have been done in another way. I did it in 1 second shorter. I could do it even shorter if I wanted to, but I don't see a point to going really crazy overboard, because you could tell it to run an extra check and stop at that end. Fill the floor. It feels like at this point we should have been doing math, and maybe we just won't be doing any math. I got an email. Let's see. It's just going to print it out here so I can read it. Sending it to that printer over there. Workers, I need you to please fill the floor with pages from the printer. Don't worry, I'm sure if you work hard and impress the right people, you'll get an email one day too. Alright, well, fine. Find the nearest printer. Take from Mem 1. And then find the nearest... Interesting. Where? How can we do this? Tip for management. You can select multiple directions from inside your step command. You can now select multiple directions from inside your step command. The worker will randomly select one of them to step forward. Okay, so pick it up in any random direction, and then if where I'm standing is nothing, drop, and then jump. And this is going to be really, really bad code. Like, this is not going to work. Not easily. Oddly, I think this is gonna work. If I use the right command, that is. So this is just gonna have people walk in random directions and drop, if it can drop something. And then there's going to be a bit of an issue with it having to walk somewhere and then finally decide to come back and fill in this one gap here, where I could just make it really efficient and make it drop the first one it picks up automatically. This is just going to get crazier and crazier and take longer and longer as far as the number of executions once it tries to fill in this gap. Particularly when you have the printer acting as a blocker, making it less likely that you will go downward. And so, yeah, lots and lots of cycles. It finally did fill in that gap. But just look at how many cycles it's taking to find those last two spots. Lots and lots of failed attempts. And I did that in 7 commands, and that took 306 seconds, and they wanted it to take 170 seconds. So, what would be a way to remove one command? You still can't have step be in the middle, as in don't step. What if we were to just eliminate this? Would that work? Looks like it would work. But it also feels like the second version, the sequel, takes longer to execute. I feel like you could speed it up even faster in the first game, and when you run into a scenario like this, it is a pain. And most compilers or program executions would probably at this point say, no, we think you've gone in an infinite loop and that this will never solve, because there's just been no change at all for many cycles. So that's how you do it, 6 or fewer commands, but it required 647 seconds to do it that way, where you want this to be the most efficient. You put in some actual logic in it, and generally you always want some logic. So I'm gonna start with take from no, we kind of don't need this. We just go if where you're standing is not equal to a data cube, drop else step in a random direction. There probably is some better logic you could do here instead of just having them random, because that random is the problem. But just checking before trying would be helpful. But you still are going to run into this scenario. So is that going to be fast enough? Nope. 340 seconds. Let's see. Find the nearest. If you're standing on a data cube, find the nearest data cube. Find the nearest worker. And then step to that. Then step in a random direction around that worker. So when it finds a gap, look at this one. This one's stuck. And this one's stuck. I don't think you're supposed to be able to get things stuck like that. See, because this creates a chain where this guy is going to constantly go to this guy and then look for the nearest worker and go to this guy and then go to her and then maybe go to him. But then this would have to loop so many extra times. So looking for a worker is probably not the best thing to do. Find the nearest wall. And then step from that. That way it works its way outside. All the way down. Making a nice little outline, increasing the odds somewhat that you would be able to fill in the gaps. But I may not actually be able to fill in this middle section at that rate. Not easily. So this is effectively the equivalent of coloring in to say, hey, let's just keep on trying. See, while each one of these spots is within 2 blocks of the wall, these are not. So it could very well be a case of this just never works either. Although that did seem like that was a more efficient way to do things. Let's see. Find the nearest data cube. I need not the nearest data cube, I need the furthest data cube, honestly. That would be more helpful. Hmm. It seems like they aren't really trying to get you to make it really that efficient, but you can definitely see there's a problem there. Probably has nothing to do with the nearest, and it probably has a lot more to do with just if this is a wall step to the right and only to the right, and then else if this over here is a wall step step 2, step downward, and then else if this is a wall, then step to the left, else. This is a really else if situation where you would instead actually use a case command, assuming you had that as an option. Step upwards. And if none of them are a wall, then what? Find the nearest gate cube and step in a random direction? Actually, I don't think we need this. What we need to do is then just or this command every time to also be if this is a data cube or if this is a data cube. And see, I'm going down that path again, wasting extra time to just test something. You know, I could probably have just changed everything to something instead of putting in specific tests, actually. Okay. Let's see if that plays. It probably needs another step up function there. Why is this not working? This jumps. If it's a data cube, drop it and then go back and get one. Elsewise, if it's above you and there's something in the way, go to the right. Else, if it's something to the right of you. Then step downwards. Else. If there's something below you, step to the right. I don't know if we need the else if sections though. Maybe we just need to say, if there's something above you, step to the right. If there's something to the right of you, step down. If there's something below you, step to the left. And if there's something to the left of you, step up. This still doesn't probably work for corners. Yeah. Maybe we just change it so if there's not something above you, then step upward. If there's not something to the right of you, then step right. If there's not something below you, step down. This should just be a nice little counterclockwise motion. And if there's not something to the right of you, you should step there. And then each of these commands should go back this way if the command is succeeded, which puts a lot of jumps in here. But that is the price of logic, I suppose. Let's see. Let's see. If what you're standing on is not equal to a data cube, that's still fine. Drop if above you is not equal to something, which is to say is nothing. Step up and then go back. And see, this is where it gets crazy, is because what you could do here is say, well, I guess you can only if a specific direction. That's not equal to that, and if that's not equal to something, are we doing it? Or does it just get into an infinite loop? And so we don't have give to, because that would be really helpful. So yeah, there should be a way to put some logic into this, and yet I'm missing something kind of obvious here. Like, it should go up Then it should go check to see if it's standing on a data cube. If it's not, then it should look around and decide to go up again. If it can't go up, then it should look to the right, and it should go to the right. And if it can't go to the right or up, it should then go down, which should get it kind of at an infinite loop at that point, which kind of does make it feel like these all should be more else if commands. But it still doesn't seem to really work. If it's somehow surrounded by nothing, I guess maybe at that point you just do put another else command and say go in any random direction. But then that brings back the randomness, and that's the thing I don't want to abide, is I don't want to have a algorithm here that is 90% logical and then 1% random. But I guess sometimes that's what it takes. And again, I only did this for the 4 cardinal directions, so this actually would be easier to go in diagonal directions also. It would be a lot more helpful if there's a memory of where the last cube was placed, because that's where this is gonna come into play more. And you still do run into that same issue, which theoretically shouldn't be an issue, because you should just be able to have it go up and around the corner and around. See, that took way longer. And I wonder if maybe what we do is we just put in like one diagonal here and see if that drastically increases anything. Nope, really doesn't. So yeah, the efficiency of my code is not efficient according to their algorithm. I'm still not at a point where I think I understand their timing algorithm. It feels like there should be a clock somewhere on the screen telling us exactly what how long a second is, and it really shouldn't be seconds, it should be cycles, because that's really what you would be counting in, because a faster processor will do more cycles per second. No more sloppy printing. Yes, I can enjoy sophisticated data patterns. I'm going to print out an important document here. Would you please take its pages from the printer and fill the floor with a checkerboard pattern? That should leave some nice tiles unoccupied for my browsing my document. I'm not going to step onto my data like an animal. Note from the facilities management, beware the renovations, watch your step. So what we need to do is find the nearest printer, and that'll save us some time. And then find the nearest data cube. And let's see. take from the printer and then step to the data cube, and then you can random step in any diagonal direction there, and will that work? Because yes, I will. So there's no more code that needs to be put here because the well, a little bit more code, but not really a lot, because the way this is going to work is if you put one here, there might be an odd chance of walking this way, but you won't be putting one here. You will only be putting one here, and each of these holes is on effectively the black, slightly tanned, if you can see the difference, checkerboard pattern. Let's see. Jump here, and what we would just need to do is see if this is nothing. Then you can drop, and then you can jump back to, let's see, this. Elsewise, just step in these random directions, and that should solve it. There's, once again, no real logic here, and without that extra bit of logic, you are going to just have a scenario where it's just going to take their time, but as long as they're constricted within their walking patterns, they cannot fall in the holes. So I did that in 9 commands, and oddly, 112 seconds. So, I mean, I guess we should give it the old college try. So if we want it to be 7 commands, we probably just need to drop it without checking. Would that work? And this pretty much will just error out. Drop it. If you can't drop it, who cares? Go back and take it again. See if that works. See, because the fact that these don't crash or do anything other than complain when there's a mistake or an unexecutable command, you can just eliminate the logic that you normally would have in there to ensure that they don't try to do something when they can't actually accomplish that thing. Of course, you can see how this is just going to take longer and longer depending on the randomness of it. And at least I do understand why that took twice as long. So now if we try to optimize the code from that point, let's see. What would be a efficient way to do this would be to probably go in circles. Let's see. So if, for instance, to the left of you is nothing, which I guess is the equivalent of a tile. Step to that tile. Else if this direction is nothing, step that way. Let's see. Else if this direction is nothing, step that way. Else see. Elsewise, there shouldn't be any other else questions, really? A lot of these if statements probably not needed. Step that way. See if that works. Nope. Get rid of that. Well, it might help if that code was actually done right. So kind of a snaking pattern that still doesn't seem like it works. Yeah, it does seem like once again you would just have to put in some randomness. And that's definitely not what you want to have to do. But in this code, at least the randomness will only be implemented on a rare occasion to just kind of disperse people outward. There probably is a pattern that would make more sense to this. And if you could get a bigger scope and see, do I have an X pattern? If so, look to the left. And do I have an X pattern? If so, look to the left. See, even that, though, is not as efficient. Let's see. What if we were to do something like, if this and this and this and this all equals a data cube. Walk in a random direction. otherwise, if this is not a data cube, then walk in that direction. And if this is we'll change it from data cube to something. And if this is not something, walk in that direction. And if this is not something, walk in that direction. And if that's not something, walk in that direction. It kind of feels like that's a more efficient way to write things, at the very least. And it seems like at that point you're only executing the random code if a lot of if commands are done. It would be nice if you could be in the middle of the room and then decide what the nearest wall is, because that would be helpful in this scenario. Because it certainly isn't going to be super helpful to, if you pick up one right here, odds of you ever getting down here are fairly low. Let's see. Find the nearest data cube in mem3. Step to mem3. That takes the randomness out. But then it doesn't work. But maybe you could put the randomness back in and just have it go in different directions, and then find the nearest data cube and then step to that. Still, that doesn't feel like that's a more efficient way, and the game doesn't seem to agree with me either. So you find the nearest wall. Would that actually work? Or is that going to get them out of order? Yeah, that's going to get them out of order. Find the nearest wall. Is there possibly a setup here where whenever they take from one, then they should find the nearest wall and then step from the wall Step to the wall. Probably not any more efficient to do it that way. Yeah. It's kind of funny when you have to drag some of this. Probably could just eliminate the extra code trying to test. We can see about that. Is that one if command the thing that's slowing everything down? No, that one if command was actually making everything better. If you're that, then this other one. So how would you make this more efficient? Go to the nearest data cube, and then maybe from the nearest data cube go to a wall, or just walk in a random direction. But equals. Maybe if we changed everything here from something to a data cube, then we walk towards just data cubes, and we can make a bit of a pattern that way. That way when it hits this wall down this direction, it says, well, so they're hitting a wall. They can't find a place to go. This one's hitting a wall. Why can it not go here? If this is this. And if this all ends up in the same place, then the code is consistent at least, and that's what we'd like to see. So when it went from something to, see, if this is something, walk that way. And that works. It just then becomes kind of silly. perhaps the solution, and this is going to be my last attempt, is something like this, where if all else fails, which is to say, go in a random direction, maybe go in a secondary random direction. Just go 2 directions. See what that does. That should theoretically double the odds of you ending up somewhere new, which theoretically should speed up the process. $167. Best we've ever done is 112. Let's see. What if instead of that, we just told it to go back to memory position 1? See what happens there. Yeah, that won't work. And I don't know how you would make this a little bit more efficient. Do you just get rid of the nearest data cube code and instead take from 1, step, I believe, in this case, up, down, left, or right. Get rid of that idea. Get rid of that idea. So this is acting as a bit of a blocker, and because you can't step down. So it's still incredibly slow. But I've got it down to 134 seconds. Where if I was to just say get rid of that as an option, since that can't be done. Still gonna be slow, but maybe that is the solution they were looking for. 135 seconds. So if this is that way, if there is something that way, step. Otherwise, don't step there that way. This might be as easy as just maybe moving some things around. say if there's nothing this way, then step up this way, otherwise do this. If there's nothing this way, then step this way, otherwise do this. If there's nothing this way, step this way, otherwise do this. And that also looks kind of nice. But all I did was really move the code around. Like, I don't fully follow the idea that that would change the number of steps. And this is the only kind of puzzle like this where it would really be justifiable to run the multiple test sets. Clearly it doesn't make sense in most of the other instances. Let's see. What if we were to, at this point, tell it to just go ahead and step in a random direction? And kind of fill in that way. And then eliminate that. By just kind of spreading things out a little bit more. That's 123. What if we were to, from where we're standing, decide to, instead of stepping in those directions upward, what if we were to go these directions so that you're on the sides? That also would potentially remove the need for that code at all. The idea here would be that every time you pick something up, well, I found a way to mess myself up there. So, not quite a success. So you're standing here, you could go left, right, or up. And I guess you just maybe go left, right. And that's about as good as you're gonna get. Or what you do is we find out that there's a trick here, it's 10 seconds shorter, where actually we just should go back and pick from the printer and see if maybe the printer can be picked up from in front or left or right. Nope, it seems like you're always standing right behind it. And so that just added 10 seconds to execute that command a lot more. Let's see. So let's say from where you're standing, you could go left, right, or up. And then from where you're standing at that point, you could potentially go left, right. That direction. This fixes the problem of it being slow to fill in this gap, but then adds the problem of it being slow to fill in that spot. But on average, that beat it 92 seconds. Interesting. But then again, I'm just down the wrong path again, and I'm trying to get the bonuses. Like, man, this game really does have a nice just addictiveness to it, where you really do want to do it, even if it's going to take a lot of time. Is that how you spell adjectives? Adjectives, nouns, prepositions, articles, and Oxford commas. Which this is the Oxford comma, a comma before an and, delineating and depicting that articles is part of a list with Oxford commas. So its preposition is the first part of the list, articles is the second item of the list, and Oxford commas is the third part of the list. Whereas if you don't have an Oxford comma, which a lot of people don't like it, and don't have good reasons to not like it, other than it's just one more thing you have to type or write, it adds ambivalence, and in language you want to try to reduce ambivalence and speak as plainly and as understandably as possible. That's the point of language. So if you didn't have an Oxford comma, it would be prepositions is the first part of the list, and then the second part of the list are articles and Oxford commas combined as if they were a group of things. All critical components of clear, unambiguous writing. I just said that. Please enjoy your new command, write. It allows workers to change the numbers on any data cube they're holding. Yes, you can now write anything in the entire universe you can possibly imagine, as long as it's a whole number between 0 and 99. Make all cubes say 99. Alright, so find then the nearest data cube. Pick it up, and then write to it 99, and then go again. Drop it. And let's see if that's good enough. Nope, we still have to actually step to the memory location. So stop that. After you drop it, let's go ahead and give you a random direction of left, right, and down, just so that they're working their way down, and that's a little bit more efficient code. This is not an efficient way to do this. Okay. Well, all these are connected, so we have some logic there. Drop it. So if we just then said 2 this way is a data cube, step that way, if this is a data cube, step that way, and then else if let's see, well, if it's not left of you and it's not right of you, just go down. Get rid of that. That goes this way. This goes this way. You actually probably don't even need this. You could probably just walk downward 1. And yeah, just kind of get rid of that too. Well, in every scenario except for when we have 2, then it becomes a bit of an issue. So seems like at a certain point you're gonna have to either randomize this or is there a way to remember see. The nearest data cube. Step to the nearest data cube. And not put any logic in it at all. That doesn't work. Step down and then find the nearest data cube and step down at that point. Hmm. You know what? Step to the nearest data cube. If it's to the... If there's one to the left, step to the one to the left. Pick up right that. And see, you could probably hard code this, but I don't know actually if you could even do that because they need to execute different code. And the nearest... It feels like what you should do is have a second check. If you just wrote 99 and dropped it, and to the left of you is a data cube, go to the data cube. And then have kind of a second test. So if this is also a data cube, at that point, step down. Otherwise, if it's not also a data cube, so you're standing on a data cube, to the left of you is a data cube. Let's see if that works. That shouldn't work. It's doing something different, at least. If this is to the left of you, test to see if you're standing on one. If you're standing on one, go down, go to the right. Otherwise, if you're not standing on one, if the left of you is a data cube, go to the left, pick it up, drop it again. Maybe it would be easier just to not have logic at all. Simply just... Well, you have to have a little bit. So if the left of you is a data cube, go to the left of you. We do want you to do that. And then pick it up. And then write 99 on it. Then drop it. And then at that point, step down. Elsewise, if to the right of you is a data cube, step right, pick it up, write 99, and then drop it. and then step down. Just kind of makes it feel like you should step down. So it's just remove that code, and then remove that code, and then put that code, and that code, and get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. See if that works. Think we've got it. We did that with 13 lines of code. And in 46 seconds instead of 39 seconds. So, how could we make this faster? Let's see. Probably by doing the writing before the step down. That way, see, this picks up something, writes it, and drops it. This picks up something, writes it, and drops it. Feels like you don't really need this. Feels like you don't need one of these at least. If there's a cube to the left, step to the left. If there's a cube to the right, step to the right. If there's not a cube to the left and there's not a cube to the right, at that point it should just be step down. Pick it up right. But no, because we also want this to execute. So that's not helpful. Pick up right 99, then drop. What would be a more efficient way to do this? I mean, do we really need the else if statement? Not really. Let's try that. Yeah, we do actually. But there is, it picks it up, it writes it down, it drops it. It looks to the left, takes a step. At that point, it picks it up, writes it down. Wow. See, and this is another example of where functional programming would be more useful, because I think the answer actually is in just duplicating the code because there's one time here in which it is not necessary to pick up and write 99 and drop it. So by trying to be more efficient with the code, I made the time it takes take longer. And this is where compilers really would be doing their job, is that it doesn't matter how efficient you write your code, almost certainly it's going to be made efficient enough with the compiler to undo anything that you added for just readability purposes. So that's how you get it to go faster, just make your code longer. And then we now want to see if we can reduce the number of commands, and I think there probably is a way to do that. Let's see. Step down. If you're pick something up, write 99, drop, then it to the left. See, this might save you like one line of code to say if there's a cube to your left, go to the left. If there's a cube to your right, go to the right. Instead, do that. Why did that not work? Picks up that first cube, writes. Looks for a cube to the left. And when it sees a cube to the left, it steps. Should step to the right. Okay. And we missed a couple in that case, and it kind of stinks that you don't have a way to see the final execution, the final state, because that would be helpful, certainly. Let's see. Yeah. If it's to the left, step to the left and pick up an item. If you pick up an item without dropping an item, would that work? Nope. You definitely need to be able to drop an item. This really is just more of a matter of figuring out the right way to order this stuff. It seems. Maybe I'm just testing for the wrong thing. See, if to the left of me is a data cube, step to the left of me. If to the right of me is a data cube, step to the right of me. Elsewise, if to the left of me is nothing, step down. But that's not really fixing our problem as far as the amount of time. Let's see, let's go back up here and execute this. This will be our last one. I think I said that a while ago. These episodes keep getting longer and longer. 6 or fewer commands. That is a lot. That is definitely asking a lot. 6 or fewer commands. So I need to do what? If to the left of me is nothing, step down. Otherwise, otherwise, step to the right. And loop. And then I don't follow this. I don't follow this logic. How can we do this? Elsewise. Interesting. Pick up mem1, find it, write it, drop it, step in to the right, and then find the nearest data cube again, and maybe if my item equals 99, step down. But then how do you would have to then put the drop part here and the step down part here. Then the right 99 part. See, that's still 7. Even doing it this way, it doesn't work. That's 6. That just goes in loops. Find the nearest data cube only makes sense if we put something like this where you just at that point go in random directions. Just make it about the most inefficient as possible. That, yeah, eventually this code would work, but it's still one short. Which at that point, why bother doing any of that? Why not just do this? Step in random directions, pick up and drop. And go. Eventually, this code will work. But there's absolutely no logic to it at all. It could take, theoretically, forever if it was true randomization. Or it could be that there's a little assistive here. Or it could take just a few seconds. Or it could take an hour. This is like kind of the prime example of I can bodge some code together and eventually it will get the answer. And with modern processing power, there's a decent chance that it just doesn't matter. But this is definitely not how you would normally do that. Let's see, I see 1 0 left. So I did it in 5 commands, but the amount of time it took was 1,045 seconds compared to the fastest solution of 38 seconds. That is pretty slow. Okay, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to further follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.